Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this class of Environmental Studies. Today, we'll talk about Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. But first, let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Vinita Srivastava, Associate Professor in Social Work from SMP Government PG College, Nathdwara. The Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981 was passed under the Article 253 of the Constitution of India, and it was passed in pursuance of the decisions taken in Stockholm Conference. Let us see how this Stockholm Conference and the decisions taken therein affected enactment of the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1981 in our country. Actually, the effects of climate change caused by all forms of pollution became all too apparent in the early 1970s. To mitigate their harmful effects, it was believed that nations would need to pass their own laws. Thus, during the United Nations General Assembly on Human Environment held in Stockholm in June 1972, a resolution was passed which implored the nations of the world to preserve their natural resources such as air. India itself had issues regarding air pollution due to a wide variety of factors such as stubble burning, improper industrial practices, environmental factors, etc. To combat these factors, a special law was enacted under the Constitution of India, which was the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1981. So, let us analyze the enactment process of this act through this flow chart. In the UN Stockholm Conference of 1972, the resolution was passed as just described. In the light of the resolution passed in the UN conference held at Stockholm in 1972, the Government of India analyzed its situation as far as environmental issues are concerned, particularly keeping in view the issues like stubble burning, improper industrial practices, firewood, and coal burning. And after a thorough analysis, the act known as the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981 was passed, incorporating various provisions for the prevention and control of air pollution in the country. The objective of the act was obviously to prevent and control the harmful effects of air pollution in India. This act is seen as the first concrete step taken by the Government of India to combat air pollution. Let us see what are the definitions under the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. The section 2 defines an air pollutant as any solid, liquid or gaseous substance which may cause harm or damage the environment, humans, plants, animals, or even damage property. In 1987 amendment to the Act also added noise in the list of harmful substances. And section 2B defines air pollution as the presence of any air pollutant in the atmosphere. Section 2G is also a very important section of this section, according to which the Act also set up the Central Pollution Control Board, whose powers extended to the whole of India to carry out the directives of the CPCB. The Act also called for the setting up of the State Pollution Control Board, known as SPCB, for the individual states of India. The composition, powers and functions of the Central Pollution Control Board were decided under this Act. The CPCB will consist of a full-time chairman with the scientific knowledge of environmental protection, along with a secretary appointed by the central government. It shall also have 5 members nominated by the central government, chosen among the members of the state government. Various functions have been decided under the Act for the CPCB. The CPCB means the Central Pollution Control Board will make efforts for the prevention and control of air pollution in India and advise the government on how to carry out such measures. It shall also plan and implement a nationwide program for the prevention and control of air pollution. The board will lead technical assistance too in carrying out research relating to air pollution. This CPCB have been entrusted with huge power as far as prevention and control of air pollution is concerned. The CPCB can declare an area as an air pollution area after consultation with the state government. The central as well as the state pollution control board have the power to prohibit the sale or use of any fuel that may cause air pollution. Power to give restrictions for ensuring standards for emissions from automobiles was also entrusted with the boards. The CPCB are entrusted with the power to put restrictions on use of certain industrial plants. The Air Act empowers the state and central pollution control boards to carry out inspections of equipment, industrial plants, or any other object which is believed to be the cause of air pollution. The person in charge will have to assist the board in their inspection, and in refusing to do so will be considered as an offence. Section 18 to 26 of the Act deals with various powers entrusted under the Act. For example, Section 18 deals with power to give directions. Section 19 is a very important section which deals with the power to declare air pollution control areas. Section 20 empowers to give instructions for ensuring standards for emission from automobiles. Section 21 deals with restrictions on use of certain industrial plants. Section 22 deals with the excess of standards laid down by the state government as far as emission of air pollutants is concerned. Section 22A deals with the power of court to make application to court for restraining persons. Section 23 deals with the furnishing of information to state board and other agencies in certain cases. Power to entry and inspection has been given under section 24. Power to obtain information has been given under section 25. And section 26 deals with the power to take samples of air or emission and procedures to be followed. Here we need to make a special focus on Article 31A, which deals with the power to give direction. Let us see what this article says. This article says that notwithstanding anything contained in any other law, but subject to the provisions of this Act and to any directions that the central government may give in this behalf, a board may, in the exercise of its powers and performance of its functions under this Act, issue any directions in writing to any person, officer, or authority, and such person, officer, or authority shall be bound to comply with such directions. It is hereby declared that the power to issue directions under this section includes the power to direct the closure, prohibition, or regulation of any industry, operation, or process, or the stoppage or regulation of supply of electricity, water, or any other service. So we have seen how this article empowers the state and central government and the boards so powerful that they can direct closure, prohibition, and regulation of any industry, operation, or process, or they can regulate supply of electricity, water, or other services. These are the services which are the public utility services, and they cannot be stopped as such. But this article empowers the institutions of the government to even direct stoppage of or regulation of supply of electricity, water, or any other service. It shows how serious the government has become for the air prevention and control of pollution. Let us focus on what happens in case anybody fails to comply with the provisions under this Act. The section 37 needs a special mention here. It deals with the failure to comply with the provisions of section 21 or section 22 or with the directions issued under section 31A. It says whoever fails to comply with the provisions of section 21 or section 22 or directions issued under section 31A shall, in respect of each such failure, be punishable with imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 1.5 years, but which may extend to 6 years, and with fine, and in case the failure continues, with an additional fine which may extend to 5,000 rupees for every day during which such failure continues after the conviction for the first such failure. If the failure referred to in subsection 1 continues beyond a period of 1 year after the date of conviction, the offender shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 2 years, but which may extend to 7 years, and with fine. So from the provisions of this Act, you know how serious the government has become for the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. So have you seen how high the fine is in case anybody violates the provision of this Act? It may extend to rupees 5,000 per day. And the punishment given under this Act seems also very grave, which may extend to 7 years imprisonment under this Act. Let us see what next. Actually, the sections from 42 to 46 of this act deals with various procedures. For example, section 42 states that no suit, prosecution or another legal proceeding shall lie against the government, any officer of the government or any other member, employee or officer of the board where the actions are done by such body or persons are done or intended to be done in good faith in pursuance of the act. So, this clause in a way provides immunity, provides protection to the members of the board and officers of working under this act for the environment protection. So, in the concluding part, let me discuss the powers of the governments to make rules. Section 47 empowers the state government to supersede state board. Means through this article, the state government has been empowered to supersede the state board. Section 53 empowers the central government to make rules for air protection. And Section 54 empowers the state government to make rules under this act. So, after analyzing various provisions of this act, including the definition part, the bodies enacted under this act, including CPCB and SPCB, various powers entrusted under this act, various punishments for the offences under this act, and the powers of the state and central government to make rules. Let us focus what is there from examination point of view. Let me tell you that this is a very important topic from examination point of view, not for the students of environmental studies, but for all the students who want to focus and want to appear in various competitive exams. Daily we struggle with the problem of air pollution. So what are the frequently asked questions? Let us focus on this. Is noise pollution a part of air pollution? That's the first question. Answer is yes. Noise pollution was included in air pollution later on. When the act was enacted at that time in 1981, it was not part of pollution, air pollution, but later on it was included in the air pollution. Actually, the noise travels through air, hence the justification. Here comes the next question. When did the noise pollution become part of air pollution in the Air Act? The answer is 1987. What is the full form of CPCB? We all know CPCB refers to Central Pollution Control Board. And there are state pollution control boards also known as SPCB. Under which section of the Air Act an area can be declared as the air pollution control area? The section is 19, as we have just gone through. This is a very powerful section. It entrusts state government with the authority to declare any area as air pollution control area, and the government may restrict working of any plant. It may restrict working of use of any fuel in this area. For example, in Delhi, there was a judgment by the government that no vehicles which are older than 15 years will operate in this area, and all such vehicles have to be transferred to nearby states where there was no such limit. What are air pollution control areas? As the last question of this session, which is also a very frequently asked question in different examinations. The answer is this act provides that the state government may, after consultation with the state board, by notification declare any area or areas within the state as the air pollution control areas. The state government is also part to make any alterations in the air pollution control areas, such as merging the areas. If the state government, after consultation with the state board, is of the opinion that the use of any fuel or burning of any non-fuel material other than an approved fuel in any air pollution control area or part thereof may cause or is likely to cause air pollution, it may by notification prohibit the use of such fuel in such area. So this is all from my side for your examination regarding Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. Thank you.